Hi, Alexa. Alexa, can you tell me about the conditions of the Earth just after creation?
Right after it formed, Earth was a scorching, molten world hit by frequent asteroids with a thin hydrogen-helium atmosphere and volcanic gases. It later cooled. Water condensed into oceans, enabling life.
Okay, speaking about that, did it rain a lot for that to condense into the ocean?
Yep, early Earth saw huge rainstorms lasting millions of years, dumping water into low spots until the oceans formed.
Okay, so with those rainstorms, did the water leach compounds out of the rocks that then pooled into the prebiotic soup in which life came from?
Yes, those massive rains would have washed mineral-derived chemicals into the oceans, where they mixed with atmospheric organics to form the prebiotic soup.
And so one could reasonably say that we owe our lives to rocks, right?
Yep, rocks pretty much handed us the ingredients for life. They supplied minerals, catalyzed chemistry, and even protected early microbes, so you could say we owe our existence to them.
Thank you, Alexa. That is all I needed.
Ah, you just made my day. Glad I could help you connect the dots from cosmic rocks to us.
All right, I do have to just break in here at the moment and say if you've liked this video so far, go ahead and drop a thumbs up. You can leave a comment if you so choose, because I will admit I'm not the end-all be-all on this information. And if you could, subscribe and share for this video. So leaving off where Alexa said that we reasonably could say that we owe our life to rocks, if you go to Google and type in "we owe our life to rocks," you'll find on science.org a nice little article that says you owe your life to rocks, and then it explains out why we owe our life to rocks. So that led me down a rabbit hole of questions because I wanted to know about RNA and DNA a little bit more. So I asked the question, did they find right-handed amino acid bases, which is the base for DNA and RNA, in rocks? And it comes up here because I'm told by everybody that I don't know what I'm talking about to go Google my answers. So let's see what we have to say. Yes, scientists have found right-handed amino acid in space rocks. Amino acids exist in two mirror image configurations referred to as left-handed and right-handed. While Earth-based life uses exclusively left-handed amino acids to build proteins, space rocks show a different story. Samples that have been returned from NASA explorations shows that there is about to be a split evenly between left-handed and right-handed forms. So that led to my next question. What is the ratio of right-handed and left-handed amino acids found in rocks? In Earth rocks, the ratio of right-handed and left-handed amino acid is typically a 1-to-1, while living organisms use almost exclusively left-handed amino acids. Once organic matter is trapped in a rock, amino acids naturally convert into a 50-50 mix. All right. That led to the next question. Did we create right-handed amino acids in the Miller experiment? Yes, but we also created left-handed ones too. In the Miller experiment, it produced a 50-50 mix of both right and left-handed amino acids. So that led me to my next question. Does life require right-handed amino acids? It says no. Known life requires left-handed amino acids. All life on Earth is built exclusively from left-handed amino acids and right-handed sugars. If you were to build proteins using right-handed amino acids, the molecules would not fold properly or function within the body. What happens to forming DNA if you mix right and left-handed amino acids? Mixing left and right-handed amino acids prevents proteins from forming or functioning properly. Because enzymes require a highly specific 3D shape, inserting the wrong-handed version halts protein folding, blocks normal biological functions, and stops RNA replication. So can life form with both left and right amino acids mixed? All known Earth life uses exclusively left-handed amino acids to build proteins. Mixing left and right-handed amino acids would prevent proteins from folding correctly, causing biological machinery to fail. Proteins are precise three-dimensional machines. If a single right-handed amino acid is forced into a chain, it acts as a structural kink. This prevents the protein from folding into the correct shape and perform required chemical tasks. So, you believe, if you're not a Christian, in the beginning rocks. And as a Christian, I believe in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Paul Davies, who, if you take a look through his Wikipedia, has a very robust education in physics. He is quoted saying, "The protein is now assembled, but it does not remain strung out like a snake. Instead, it rolls up into a knobby ball, rather like a piece of elastic that's stretched and allowed to snap back. This folding process may take some seconds, and it is still something of a mystery how the protein attains the appropriate final shape. If it were to work properly, the three-dimensional form of the protein has to be correct, with the bumps and the cavities in all the right places, and the right atoms facing outwards. Unfortunately, before Darwin evolution can start, a certain minimum level of complexity is required. But how was this initial complexity achieved? When pressed, most scientists wring their hands and mutter the incantation, chance. So did chance alone create the first self-replicating molecule? A small protein may typically contain 100 amino acids of 20 varieties. There are about 10 to the 130th power, which is 1 followed by 130 zeros. Different arrangements of the amino acids in a molecule of this length. Hitting the right one by accident would be no mean feat. Life as we know it requires hundreds of thousands of specialist proteins, not to mention nucleic acids. The odds against producing just the protein by pure chance is something like 10 to the 40th thousandth power to 1. All of these quotes came from his book called The Fifth Miracle. The next quote is going to come from Hugh Ross, and I'm not going to even try to begin to say the name of this other author that's on here. Origin of life researchers cannot identify any location on primordial Earth suitable for the production of prebiotic molecules. Those studying the problem cannot explain how the uniform handiness of amino acid, nucleotides, and sugar could emerge in any so-called prebiotic soup. Robert Jastrow said, "The intense bombardment that accompanied the origins of the planet would surely have melted Earth's surface and vaporized its early oceans. Yet we have geothermic evidence that life may have existed on Earth very early. It now appears likely that the first living creature on Earth evolved spontaneously out of the inert chemicals that were common on the planet in the early years of existence. Robert Jastrow is also quoted saying, "Astronomers now find that they have painted themselves into a corner because they have proven by their own methods that the world began abruptly in an act of creation to which we can trace the seeds of every star, every planet, every living thing in this cosmos and on Earth. And they have found that all this happened as a product of forces they cannot hope to discover, that there are what I or anyone would call supernatural forces at work is now, I think, a scientifically proven fact." Just to throw this your way, Robert Jastrow was also an agnostic. The last quote that I'm going to give from him: "For the scientist who have lived by his faith in the power of reason, the story ends like a bad dream. He has scaled the mountains of ignorance. He is about to conquer the highest peak, and he pulls himself over the final rock. He is greeted by a band of theologians who have been sitting there for centuries." So after looking at this evidence and finding out, in my opinion, that life could not form as the scientists want to tell us, I think this quote by Frank Turk gives us a good end. The bottom line is this: since there was an absolute beginning to space, time, and matter, it is reasonable to conclude that the cause of the universe must be spaceless, timeless, and immaterial. This cause must also be personal in order to choose to create, intelligent to create such a fine-tuned universe, and powerful to create out of nothing. A spaceless, timeless, immaterial, personal, intelligent, powerful being is exactly what Christians call God.